It's time for Bringing the Heat with Bryan Nolen.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is another edition of Bringing the Heat with Bryan Nolen. Yours truly here on the week of June the 26th, 2024. This week's edition of the program, Leland Honeyman Jr. is going to be joining the program from Young's Motorsports. He sat down with our Michael Massie. It's going to be a plethora of topics, so a fantastic interview there. And then we're going to also be having Chase Folsom on to recap the weird and wacky and wild experience that happened on Sunday at New Hampshire. But before we do that, let's dive on into the interview that our Michael Massie conducted a couple weeks ago with Leland Honeyman.
Now it's time for...
Today we're joined by the driver of the number 42 Young's Motorsports car, Leland Honeyman.
To go into the Inferno with Bryan.
What's up, everyone? Michael Massie here with FrontStretch.com. Today we're joined by the driver of the number 42 Young's Motorsports car, Leland Honeyman. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. We're surrounded by corn, just living the dream, and we're here in Iowa.
You ever seen this much corn in your life?
Probably not. No, I was here, 2 years ago, so that was the last time I seen all this corn.
Gotcha. So first off, we'll lead off with a little bit of a fun question, but it could be a little serious. Have you been confused with Caden Honeycutt yet?
I think once. I can't remember where it was, but I do remember the moment just a little bit. Someone did confuse me with Caden Honeycutt, but I think it was on a broadcast maybe. I can't remember, but yeah, that was the only time.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like as time goes on, the two of you, as you come up through the ranks and all that, yep. It's going to happen more and more, right? Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your start in racing. How did you, you're just 19 years old now, right? When did you start out?
I started out racing when I was 4 years old in off-road trophy trucks. It was kind of like a smaller form of a bigger trophy truck for kids. I was 4, 5, and 6 years old when I did that, and I just kind of moved up through the go-karting ranks to legend cars, the late models, Bandoleros, and then ARCA and Xfinity.
Yeah, what was the thing that got you into racing?
I would say more of my dad. He kind of pulled the trigger on everything, just for me getting in a race car. He was watching some TV one day and seen that these off-road trophy cars were on TV, and he looked them up on Google or whatever it was back in 2009. But I don't know what it was, but he looked it up and found one for sale and bought one, and I was racing a couple weeks later.
Okay. Now, it says, I saw one thing that says you're from the Phoenix area. Another thing says you're from Mooresville, North Carolina. Yeah. Is it your family's originally from Phoenix and you moved to North Carolina?
Yeah, so I moved from I was born and raised in Phoenix for about 10 years, and then I moved to North Carolina when I was 10 years old. Okay. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, just to pursue racing, and my dad made the trip out here. It was just me and him, and we made the trip to Mooresville just to pursue my racing career, and it takes a lot for him to do that, and I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Now, you're driving for Young's this year, but it's not the first time you've driven for them. You drove for them in the ARCA East a couple years ago. How did that relationship start?
That relationship started with one of my old late model team owners that I raced for, David Pletcher. He was really good. He's really good friends with Tyler Young, and he kind of pointed me and leaned me that way. I was also working with Lauren Ranier at the time. He kind of pointed me in that direction as well. So with that, being said, I raced with Tyler Young, Young's Motorsports for the 2022 season in the ARCA East. We did 7 or 8 races, 7 I think. But it was a really good year for us. We had a pole, which is really good, for us being a smaller team like we are. So it was, it was a really good year.
Yeah, and then you reunite with them. What led to you guys reuniting and jumping to Xfinity together?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of it had to do with, Tyler. Tyler called me, and it was like early December, and he was like, you want to do Xfinity for me full time? And I'm like, no, you're joking. And he was serious and showed up to the shop. He had Xfinity cars there, and we started, talking more, and we had a contract signed. I think it was like right after Christmas or right before Christmas, but no, it was a really good deal.
So that thing came together pretty late, the Christmas time, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a very quick deal, and very late in the season for sure.
And what have the growing pains been like? Like you adjusting to being full time in the series, and this team never having fielded an Xfinity car before. What have the growing pains been like?
I would say just practice for me and the our team, just because I'm a rookie driver. Obviously, I have my crew chief from the ARCA year. Andrew Abbott crew chief me in 2022 with the ARCA deal. Not many races, to where we could build a big relationship, but we've been friends ever since. Even last year when I raced for Alpha Prime, we talked a lot still. So I would say, the biggest thing for us is notes. A lot of these bigger teams have notes from the previous years, and we don't really have that to go off of. So we kind of, we fire off a little bit, off pace sometimes, just sometimes, not all the time. But, that's what it takes being a new team is, learning the track for me too. I'm not saying it's just all, not having notes, but a lot of it is, me not being at these tracks and for the first time, So, we're going to go to New Hampshire next week, and it's going to be my first time there. And so we might, it's going to take a minute for me to learn the track. And, I don't know if we have a 20-minute practice or a 50-minute, but I probably think it's a 20-minute.
Not a whole lot of practice for a brand new place, right?
Yep.
But you got well. First off, you said you consider him a friend. Your crew chief there. Y'all have maintained that relationship. Why? What's the connection? Why have you two kind of clicked so well? Do you think?
We talk a lot. We like a lot of the same things. He actually eats a lot of steak, so it's one of the things we share in common. We're always talking about new steakhouses or whatever it is, and we're just always looking for the new place to go. Even on the road, I would say me and him probably eat the best on the road out of the whole group, just because he's I want to eat steak, and those guys are oh, let's go somewhere quick and go back to the hotel or whatever. And me and him are yeah, let's go to Chima or to Ruth's Chris, somewhere we like eating steak. So it's kind of what we've always shared, and we get along really well, and I really like working with Panda.
All right, wait, what'd you call
Panda? We call him Panda. He's like Panda. He is a panda, but yeah, no, I love him.
Gotcha. I wasn't aware of that nickname, but here's the polarizing question, I guess, is how do you like your steak cooked?
Medium, 100%.
Medium? Okay. I can respect that.
Yeah.
I like a little medium rare. Get a little bit bloody, you know. But not totally bloody. But all right, so you start the year though. You had that run, I think it was the third to sixth race or something like that. It was 4 straight top 20s.
Yeah.
Kind of to start the year. How did that feel? Did it make you feel like you belong in the series, running that well against some of the teams kind of at this level?
Yeah, no, I would say for sure. I feel like as I'm learning so much more every single week, it's definitely, I feel like it gets a little bit easier, but it's still harder just because you're trying to take in all the information that you're getting, from your spotter and your crew chief every single week, and at competition meetings talking about what you can do better, and then taking all that in. And I feel like we fired off really good, and then I started taking in information, and then I'm just trying to learn and build off that and take that information in the right way, and not take it in a bad way just because I want to learn it the right way. I don't want to, learn 80% of it. I want to learn all of it, and, use a little bit of what I know too, that I think is right, and add it to what I know. The information that I'm getting and what I know is the biggest thing for me, this year. And, the 4 or 5, whatever it is, straight top 20s, that was was a really good, couple races for us, and we need to probably get back on track to keep doing that. But we've just had bad luck. Last week in Sonoma we lost powered steering, and then Portland we were running 11th, and I wheel hopped. I made a mistake myself on the last lap. We're running 11th, so it was the past couple weekends have been really, really good, but we just need to get back on a rhythm and keep digging.
Okay, and then Talladega, you had that 4th place run. It looked like for a second you're about to win the thing. I think if the start finish line was where it's at Daytona and not down towards turn 1, maybe it's pretty close for the win there.
Yeah.
Did you think you had that thing won?
I don't know. Obviously I was starting on the front row. I've never done that in my entire not my entire life, but in the Xfinity Series. So it definitely was different for me. But other than that, I would say learning the stuff that I learned after the race and what I could do better. Back up to 35 and get that run past Jesse was the biggest thing. From a learning experience, is I've never done that before. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a really, really good weekend for us as a team. So yeah, it was a really good weekend.
Okay. And but you guys you're 20th in points right now. You're right around guys like Jeremy Clements and people like Josh Williams, people that have been around in the series for a while. Like, what's that like?
Yeah, no, it's for sure. It's it's really cool to be around those guys, and I talk to Jeremy and Josh every single week. So I would say we're pretty good buddies. Off the track, and we're not super close. We talk at the track here and there, but they're always helping me with advice and tips and stuff. So. Especially Jeremy. Jeremy's always, we're always parked next to each other. He's right next door to us right now. So yesterday we were talking. I'm like, how many starts do you have? 600? And we were just joking around, but I don't know. It's up there though. I think it's almost 400 or something. So, for me being right behind him in points, and I think we were ahead of him for a little bit there, and we just had some rough patches throughout the weekend and such, but. No, I think if we get back on a rhythm and whatnot, I think we could be better than 20th. I think we can really do it.
Okay, so kind of a friendly little battle for right there around 20th in points. That's awesome. I'll send you out on kind of a fun one. Cole Custer has the cold custard thing, his whole deal. If there was a sponsor to approach you. Or some kind of play on your name. Do you got anything up your sleeve already? Or
I mean, yeah, I've reached out to a couple honey companies that that are involved with the honey deal. Obviously, it would be a really cool deal just to have my last name involved in a sponsorship deal. So, if there anybody watching this that has a honey company that has honey in the name, reach out and we'd love to work with you. And yeah, I think it'd be a really cool deal just because of my last name. It's really unique, so.
Yeah, maybe some Honeyman Nut Cheerios or something like that. Yeah, let's make it happen, guys.
Yeah.
But thanks so much. This has been Leland Honeyman, and I'm Michael Massie. See you next time.
Once again, that was a fantastic interview from my man, Mr. Michael Massie. Let's dive on into our news and notes and talk about the latest news from this past week.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
All righty, gonna bring in my man at this time. We're trying to make short tracks great again at Folsom_Chase. Just got back from New Hampshire. Hope you survived the weird and wackiness of New Hampshire. First off, Chase, thanks for coming on the program. And second off, just in 60 seconds or less, how would you describe the weekend that you were at in New Hampshire?
Rain.
Yeah.
Rain.
Yeah.
Rain. And then we had some racing. It was really pretty up there when it's not raining. Unfortunately, I did a lot of raining. There was a lot of mud at the dirt track Friday night. Before the dirt track Friday night, there were some people that can't keep secrets very well. And then there was some interesting, but I would say actually pretty good racing this weekend.
Yeah, let's dive on into people that can't keep secrets. The worst kept secret in the garage area was officially announced to the public on Tuesday. Chase Briscoe to the number 19 car. Christopher Bell kind of spilled the beans on Friday during his pre-race press conference in the media center at New Hampshire. Realistically, Chase, what should the expectations be for Chase?
I think the expectations should be wins. I mean, when you go to Joe Gibbs Racing, the expectation is that you win races and you compete for championships. And right now you have guys like Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell that are winning races and going to be in contention for a championship this year. Now Ty Gibbs is in his second year in the Cup Series, second and a half year in the Cup Series. Give him a little bit of leeway, but eventually he's going to need to start winning races. And for a guy like Chase Briscoe that's already won a Cup race before, he's been in the Cup Series for a couple of years now, there's no excuse. The first half of the year, maybe you acclimate to the team, but after that, you're going to have to find victory lane.
Another interesting nugget that came out a little bit later on Tuesday was the vice president of competition, Andy Petrie, for Richard Childress Racing, effectively retired. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Chase. It's been a brutal season. Both have been absolutely terrible. Xfinity side, they've been great. I mean, 3 wins, 2 for Austin Hill, 1 for Jesse Love. The Xfinity program's working wonders over there, but the Cup side is absolutely damn awful. Will this even make a difference?
I really don't think so. You got to think. The question is, how much does Andy Petrie being there affect what goes on the racetrack on Sunday? And I'm going to say not enough to where it's magically going to make the 3-car and the 8-car runs in the top 10 every week like they haven't been. Kyle Busch has had some bad luck, but they've also had some weeks where they were terrible, and Austin Dillon has just kind of been out there riding around this year. I don't see how one change is going to magically turn that team around.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it's been absolutely brutal. We've kind of seen some glimpses, like once every 10 races for Austin Dillon. And then Kyle Busch, I mean, the guy wrecked under caution. If that doesn't say something about his season, I don't know what does. I mean, absolutely brutal. This after come off of a fantastic year in which he won 3 races. I mean, sure, one was at a super speedway in Talladega, but Fontana, that's a difficult race to win, and then Gateway, that's a difficult race to win as well. So I mean, very, very disappointing. We'll see what happens, and I mean, Kyle may not even make the playoffs, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with the future of RCR. Trey, let's head on over to our soundbite of the week, where we hear from Elton Sawyer about this past race in New Hampshire on Sunday.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm going to bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track races.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
Do you think this was a success? I mean, given from what you saw, would you say, how would you grade this?
Absolutely. I mean, if you go back and look at the reason we came up with this and we started working with our teams and the folks at the R&D Center, it was to do exactly what we did yesterday with the Xfinity race and what we did today with the Cup race. So, yes, very successful.
Once again, that was Elton Sawyer. Chase, we saw the wet weather tires come into effect, and I'll talk more about this in my final thoughts segment about just letting teams have the ability to choose when they want to use them. But overall, when it's all said and done, was this a success?
I do think, yes, it was a success. There were some things that they could have done better, and I'm not going to go too in depth because it seems like you may be about to touch on those things, but that race doesn't get done without rain tires. There was not enough time and daylight left to dry the racetrack and run the final 80 laps, especially not as many times as they ended up wrecking each other. So we completed a race that in years past we wouldn't have completed. And yes, there's some things to work out, but I would say getting to lap 301 or 304, I guess we did this week, is a success, and we can work out the rest of the little flaws later on.
I agree. I will hold my thoughts on this, but I do agree with where you are coming from. Let's dive on into some final thoughts and wrap it up.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish
finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Yeah, whatever you want to rant, rave, or anything in between, Mr. Chase Folsom, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, so I got two things I'll touch on really quickly. Number one, electric cars. They're terrible. I got stuck with one as my rental car this weekend. It was awful. Don't use them. Secondly,
Well said.
The rumor is that Loudon's going to move back to the playoffs. I actually like the move. Yes, it's not the most exciting racetrack, but Loudon in the fall is beautiful. You don't have to worry about it raining every single year we go there if we run in the fall. So I think that's a win as long as you take out the right tracks. Whether or not they do that, we'll see. But yeah, Loudon in the fall, yay. Electric cars, boo.
Couldn't have said it better. That was a little behind the curtain right there. Electric vehicles, do not recommend. Electric lawn equipment, do not recommend either, but that's a story for a different day. My final thoughts is what we saw at Sunday is definitely a changing of the guards in terms of finishing races on short tracks. Sure, rain may come with under 100 laps to go and you have no lights. No big deal. Put on these rain tires. However, two things. One, they're not rain tires. They're damp tires. You're gonna run them in the damp. You're not gonna run them in the rain. You're gonna run them in the damp. And number two, this is not a little league series. You cannot hold their hand when we want to go back to slick tires compared to wets. Let the teams make the decisions. These guys are big boys. This is the professional leagues. I saw NASCAR release a couple of days ago say they're the number one motorsports in the country. Well, let's show them that they are the number one motorsports in the country by not holding their hand and letting them choose if they want to go to slicks, if they want to stay at wets. It doesn't matter. Let them decide instead of having NASCAR make them go one way or another. At Folsom _ Chase. Chase, you are our lead Cars Tour guy. You are also covering a plethora of other short track races in the upcoming months. Tell the viewers what you are going to be cooking up on frontstretch.com and where can people find you at a racetrack.
Yeah, so my next race is actually, I don't know when you'll be listening or seeing this, but Nashville Fairgrounds. So the Thursday of Nashville race weekend. So you may be listening to this on the way to the racetrack. I don't know. Covering the Broadway 150 there. Ross Chastain and Josh Berry said to be there. And then Wednesday, July 3rd at Caraway Speedway, back with the Cars Tour. The entire remainder of the Cars Tour schedule, along with some Virginia Triple Crown stuff. I'll be all over the place at short tracks. You can find me there. And all the content will be on frontstretch.com and Frontstretch Grassroots on YouTube.
Oh, good little plug there. Once again, at Folsom _ Chase, at the Bryan Nolen. And yeah, I'll promote you too, Trey, at Trey Lyle _ VT. What? You want pop on in? What?
It's at Trey Lyle VT.
Okay, tomato. At Trey Lyle VT.
Also, that's not Chase's Twitter. He's changed it.
I did change it, but I was going to let it go.
Chase, you want to plug your actual Twitter?
My actual Twitter is now CFolsom _ Racing. I had to think about it for a second. I had to combine all the accounts and make them have the same username. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're killing me here. It makes me look like a fool when I'm just reading off the teleprompter here. The teleprompter is not even right. So now Trey can make even more fun of me. So I appreciate that. At Trey Lyle VT. I had to make sure I get the correct one. Also, check me out on the Fast Lane with Ed Lane, special guest host Trey Lyle tomorrow. So I'm going to be on there. Yours truly.
But by the time this is out, you will basically be on the podcast. You'll be on the show.
Okay, well, check out the replay, the Fast Lane, Ed Lane on Google Podcasts, Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. Coming up next on the Front Stretch Podcast Network, Through the Gears, my man Tino's got all the latest betting odds, and then Stock Car Scoop, Happy Hour, as well as the Pit Straight. For Chase Folsom, Trey Lyle, I'm Bryan Nolen. Thanks so much for joining us. Talk with you next week to recap Nashville.
What's up? Michael Massie here, frontstretch.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.